So much, sir. Your discourse, this is not simple lecture. In fact, this is a discourse. And it has a lot of value, practical value, because you took some examples, practical examples from our work life. For example, conflicts, interpersonal conflicts, and especially between the teachers and the students, and among the teachers. Sometimes it is more difficult to handle the conflicts that arise among the colleagues rather than between the teacher and the student. So it has a lot of practical value. And some Professor G. Soral, sir, I welcome you, and he already joined. And Professor O.P. Rai just delivered his lecture on science and art of human behavior.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah.
So
good morning, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, just maybe one question I will take, sir. I actually not questions, and many people, I think they appreciated your lecture, and a lot of appreciation. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, and
once again a big thanks, sir. Big thanks
for giving your time. Namaskar.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Now I welcome Professor G. Soral. In simple words, he is a well-wisher of our Department of Commerce, Mizoram University. His CV is very large, very big, but I would like to highlight a few points. He has more than 40 years of teaching and administrative experience in the university system, and he is a national president for 2 years of Indian Accounting Association. That is the world's largest body of accounting academicians. And he started his career in ML Sukhadia University, a very popular university in the country, in Rajasthan, Udaipur. And he started his career in 1981 as assistant professor in that university. Then he became a professor in that university in 2007, and he has been associated with many organizations, many academic and professional bodies, many academic organizations and professional bodies, and he was officiating vice chancellor in ML Sukhadia University between 2015 and 2019, and he supervised 27 PhD scholars, and still after his superannuation also is very active, and 5 PhD scholars, they are still working with the Professor G. Soral. He published many papers and many books, and especially we are thankful to him because he served Mizoram University during 2004 and 5. He was the founding head of the Department of Commerce and also professor in our department. Though he served a very short time, he liked this place, he liked the work environment and people of Mizoram, he loved very much. But we all know geographically speaking, Rajasthan is in the western part of the country, and this is northeastern part. Just a few days back, I had been to western side of India, Madhya Pradesh. Then during 7:30 p.m. also, daylight was there, 7:30 p.m. And so I started my journey here from Mizoram, and here sun rises first in the country, being the eastern part of the country. So, but despite though he served very short time here, he could create a lasting impact on the faculty here, and I was very much fortunate to work with him in 2004 and 2005, and he has been constantly in touch with the faculty, and is a source of inspiration. In simple words, he is a source of inspiration for us. Sir, I just want to give progress report after 17 years after you left our department. physically, physically, just I want to give some simple progress report. Now, we are 7 faculty members. There is a sanctioned strength. And in addition to MCOM and PhD, we are also running one of our faculty members, Dr. Lalin Liana, is the director of incubation center. That is a DST sponsored incubation center. And one of our faculty members, Dr. Rama Ramaswamy, she is a nodal officer for BVOC handloom weavers a course, 3-year UG program we are running, and she's a nodal officer. It is under national, NSQF, under NSQF, we are running that program. And very recently, we started one EDP, Executive Development Program, exclusively meant for the bank officers of Mizoram Rural Bank. And now they are writing their first semester examinations, and it is as per the MOU signed between Mizoram University and Mizoram Rural Bank. And we are taking classes between 7 p.m. and 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. on every working day, because they are the bank employees online.
Oh.
So in brief, this is our progress report, and I don't want to take much time. And Professor Bhartendu Singh is also there, but the only thing is we will hear for maybe 20-25 minutes. My colleagues in the department, they will moderate the program, because Vice Chancellor convened one meeting at 12 o'clock. So please allow us to leave this session at around 12 o'clock.
Sure, sure.
Now it is your time, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Professor Jyoti Kumar. As Professor Jyoti Kumar has mentioned, that I only left Mizoram physically some 17 years before. That's very true word, actually, because I may briefly mention here that in my journey thereafter, all through, in my classes, in my various programs around the country and outside, I have been introducing myself as ex-professor Mizoram University. Even today in my PPT, I thought I should put it over there. I am fond of saying that. And I would definitely admit saying that there were so many good things about Mizoram University and its environment, the people there, the ambience there, that I have relished, and I always cherish that memory. Working with Professor Jyoti Kumar and one more of our colleague, Mr. Shankar, we three were there, who joined the department together at the very initial stage. We received a lot of cooperation from everybody, and many of our old students are now members of the department. And the progress thereafter, definitely, a lot of credit goes to Professor Jyoti Kumar and his leadership. I am very happy to see that he has served the department now in a senior professor's position, helping the university in various ways, and the university rising like anything. So I'm really very happy about that. And I thank him and the Mizoram University for inviting me today to exchange some thoughts with the audience here. Friends, I was talking to Professor Jyoti Kumar, and he mentioned that there are 37 participants today, and some of them, they are all from different states, including Mizoram. Some of them are of senior ranks also, though it's a refresher course. We decided that day when we were discussing about the topic to talk on the national education policy and its implications for teachers. So let me share my presentation with you now. Yeah. So is it visible? Hello? Whether the screen is visible, sir?
Not yet, sir. Yeah, not yet.
Not visible. Let me do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. You close and you start again.
Yeah. Let me repeat that.
Yes, sir.
Now it's visible, right?
Now it's good. Yeah.
Thank you. Professor, as you have mentioned, you have a meeting with the Vice Chancellor. So whenever, I mean, in case you are leaving, please hand it over to somebody to coordinate. And that will
Yes,
be
sir.
enough for me.
My colleagues are there, Dr. Gurram and Dr. Fanai. They are my colleagues in the departments.
Fine.
So, yeah.
So they will be there. No?
Yes, sir. Yes,
So in case of any technical issue or, you know, I need some coordination.
Yeah.
So friends, this is the issue on which I thought, let me share some thoughts with you. And the plan of the session would go this way, that around half of the time of my session is scheduled up to 1 p.m. today. Around half of the time, I will break the presentation from my side and will ask you to raise your queries or make your comments and observations, maybe for some 5-7 minutes. Then I will resume my presentation. And by the end of the session, again, we will have some time for discussion. So, because all of you are teachers, very enlightened minds, you may definitely have certain things to comment or to ask me or to make your observations. So kindly keep them reserved. You may note them down in your notebooks. And as I open the session for discussion, I request the coordinators to call the participants one by one by name, because they may raise hands, you know, in that regard, and ask them to raise the question by switching on their audio. So with that, let me proceed.
Sir,
Sir, please tell me.
Sir, I'm Hartendu Singh. Sir, our participants are not having access to audio, so they can type in their responses.
Yeah, then some of the coordinator may read the question too.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, sir. Yes. Professor, Dr. Gurram and Mani will do that.
Okay, yeah, please. Thank you. Yeah, that will be convenient. No issues. Friends, the National Education Policy, you know, the abbreviation NEP is very famous in our fraternity of teachers. 2020 it was announced. Thereafter, it was the time when we were reeling under the pressure of Corona, and a lot of adjustments the academy and the teachers have to make because of the new upcoming situations. Like me, who are the old teachers, many might have experienced the change, you know, that the very next day we were taking classes on the whiteboard and blackboard, and suddenly we had to shift to the online mode. For students and teachers, everything was new, and in that way, we also received the National Education Policy. We all know that by now, because the government had a very clear intention regarding implementation of this policy, many things have come up. And the UGC in particular, with joining of the new dynamic chairman, Professor M. Jagdish Kumar, things are moving at a fast pace. But you will agree with me that any education policy of this level, if we want to see it, you know, to have the light of the day, it is ultimately we, the faculty members, right, who may make the goals achieved. And in that way, this is very important for us as faculty members to discuss the implications of this policy for us. You see, we are not only teaching as faculties, but we are also the academic administrators in different capacities. That's part of our job, parallel job that we do. So administratively also, the implications are important for us. The intentions of the policy also we have to appreciate. And as a teaching component in the whole system, also we have to appreciate the intentions, right? So keeping that in mind, I have jotted down certain points here, picking up them from National Education Policy, and we'll discuss with you certain implications that come to my mind. As you may all be aware about the GER, gross enrollment ratio, the target which has been put in the National Education Policy, NEP, by 2035 is very lofty. It is 50%. Right now, we are about half, little more than half of this target. And 2035 is not very, very far, some 13 years to go. And that is the GER target that the policy has. As teachers, we know that yes, though it may be difficult, maybe lofty, but yes, very much desirable. If the country has to progress, this GER should be achieved. Now, what may be the implications of this for us to discuss on? You will agree that if we want to achieve this target, we have to ensure the quality of both distance and higher education. Nowadays, they call it open distance learning, ODL. That has become ODL, has become a buzzword these days. So that ODL and the higher education system, which is physical, we have to have quality additions into it in case we want to go for a higher GER. As you may know that why GER has not improved in the list of the reasons. One reason is this, that the younger generation doesn't find it worthwhile to join, no attraction towards joining higher education system, and only quality, if we bring in the system, may really make the masses attracted towards it. Of course, things are improving in all parts of the country. There were days some 20 years before around that whenever we used to go to find out with a student studying in the undergraduation or post-graduation place, that how about your family background in terms of education? They used to say, I'm the first graduate in my entire village. Over the years, that situation has improved. Now we find even in this part of the country, I'm particularly mentioning you because, Mizoram is entirely different. Mizoram has brought laurels to the country by having second highest literacy in the country, which I often boast about Mizoram. In Rajasthan, that is not the situation even now, but we have found large number of women folks coming up in higher education. So that way things are improving. But one point for our consideration is that we have to consider quality additions to higher education in order to help this target achieved. Friends, there is one more way in which we may administratively, academically, through our approaches and our extension efforts, may help the country to reach the GER target. Right, that is the digital community centers idea. I often used to talk about it. You see, one problem, even with the ODL, is happening is that we have a great digital divide in the country. During Corona period, we all have faced and appreciated it quite a lot. That we learned about everything, how to deliver on online, interact with these students on Zoom platform or some other platforms. But there was a digital divide. Many students didn't have access to all these things. And that divide is going to continue. In fact, it's a very vast population, a very large country. So the idea of digital community centers goes like this, that, in the far-flung places, particularly where the open and distant learning is difficult because of connectivity issues, and digital facilities are less available, we may, with our influence, with our connections, motivate the masses, the village people, the town people, to establish digital community centers there. This may not need much investment, but that will help spread of higher education in the country like anything. So to put the example more specifically, right, we visualize a particular village or a town where we, with the public support or contribution maybe in order to reduce the cost, have hired a hall, a room with electricity connection. Okay, there we take one internet connection, of which facilities are being provided by the NIC to all government offices all over the country. And we'll put some connection over there whereby in that closed area, a Wi-Fi connectivity is available. Some devices may be put over there for those who do not have devices to capture digital signals. And it becomes like a digital community center or a digital library where students may visit and access their classes online, the SWAYAM platforms online, okay, or the university services, concerned university services being provided to that. This way we may bridge the gap, with those masses which still couldn't enroll themselves for higher education. Okay, so this is one humble suggestion that I would like to put before you. Friends, you all know about the multiple entry and exit policy which has been proposed in the new education policy. So far, our rigid systems have been very rigid, and you all know about that. That once you enter into graduation, you have to come out of the pipeline after 3 years only. Same is with post-graduation and all. But now the policy wants to make the system quite flexible. And you will agree with me that that's a great idea. The incidence of higher education in our country is being impaired also because, we are making it more rigid and less flexible. Right, but then how to implement it and what do we appreciate as a faculty, regarding this multiple entry exit policy? So one thing which has already come up, as we are all aware maybe, is regarding the ABC, the Academic Bank of Credits. It has already been implemented by now. And we have to be aware about it particularly so that we can pass on this message to our students, motivate them, to use this facility as per rules, and maybe we may motivate them to continue with their higher education even when they face certain problems. So as you are aware that the Academic Bank of Credits now, a student may have an academic account with the bank, and would earn certain credits deposited to it, and then may leave the system for some time, again join, again earn more credits, and that way may justify one's degree. Okay, so that's very important information for us. Further, a standardized curriculum by a central agency may be required, if we really want to make the multiple entry exit policy successful. Because both for the Academic Bank of Credit situation also, that you are earning credits from different systems in the country, clubbing them and arranging a degree as per rule. So curriculum are having wide variety all over the country, right? So one thing for which we may make a collective effort is that let there be a central agency for entire country which prepares a standardized curriculum. Right. Now, since a good number of commerce faculty members are joining this program, I would like to share with you one information which perhaps might not have reached you. That the Indian Accounting Association, of which some of you may be members also, which is an academic body of teachers, particularly who are interested in teaching accounting subjects, have made a marathon effort in making a standardized proposed curriculum for the country, right, which is available on its website. Whenever you have time, you may just click on indianaccounting.org website, and on homepage itself, that model curriculum in full text of about more than 350 pages is available. So I would definitely motivate you to go through that. In case it helps you, you may use it at your respective places of the university or colleges. That sort of effort is required so that all curriculum over the country come at a common level, and we may be free in permitting multiple entry and exit to our students. Similarly, we should ensure that whether in the curriculum, weight and rigor should also be uniform. Rigor of the delivery of the curriculum, weightage of contents in the curriculum has also to be similar, right? Otherwise, you cannot club the credits. And also, you would agree that the examination systems should also be to a great extent uniform, right? Because credits are ensured with the passing of examination. So this multiple entry and exit, therefore, which appears to be little challenging in implementation, right, can be helped by us through all these things and maybe some more, which we may think of later. But you'll agree that yes, if we can really implement this policy, make the things so flexible, that will definitely add to the better standards of higher education in the country. Going to the next point, one more thing about which the policy says is the affiliation system to phase out in next 15 years. Which means, like all of you, those who are listening to me, many of you may be in the affiliated colleges, not in the university department. Policy says that gradually this affiliation of colleges with the universities has to phase out. Now, at the moment, if you look at it, it appears quite challenging. I may again give you the example of the state where I reside, that is Rajasthan. And you may wonder that there are universities which have more than 400, 500, 600 affiliated colleges to a single university. Entire curriculum, examination, and other things. The affiliated colleges are depending on the university for that. Now the UGC and the Higher Education Ministry says this system has to phase out. So how to cope up with this situation as a faculty member? The first thing to my mind which comes to suggest to you is that a time has come for colleges and its faculties to promote out-of-box thinking at their levels. Because a time is going to come very shortly when, as a college teacher also, you shall have to work in an autonomous environment. Therefore, it's very important that from the traditional mindset that you used to have, that every time there will be guidance coming from the university and regarding curriculum, examination, other policy issues, and you are just to follow it because you are in an affiliating situation, is now going to be phased out. Therefore, essential to be creative and think out of box. That how do we stand on our own legs as a college, as an autonomous college or a converting university? Further, this is very important that we will have to consider improvement of infrastructure in colleges once they are going to be devoid of the university system support. You may be knowing, I also know in various parts of the country, including Mizoram, Rajasthan, other South India, Central India, everywhere. Good number of colleges are there which may not have sufficient infrastructure. And in that situation, if you let them be free from the university supports, this is very important to make improvements in that. Teaching and non-teaching vacancies are also a great challenge, in terms of, phasing out of affiliation. So that also we have to appreciate. That how are we going to make yeah, please permit me just a second. Hello. Yes. 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 Shall I call you after 1 hour? I'm in a lecture actually. Right. Okay. Yeah, sure. Sure. Yeah, sorry, I had to get deviated for a minute. So I was telling you about the teaching and non-teaching vacancies in colleges. In many colleges in various parts of the country, I've seen that to quote some extreme cases, there are single faculty colleges running in the country at the moment. Every part of the country, I know such colleges. And in many colleges, I have seen that lot of non-teaching load teachers are bearing. Okay, there may be some administrative funding reasons whenever the institutions are being controlled by the government. But we have to be aware about it as a faculty, as academic administrators also, that once in times to come, affiliation system are going to phase out, the colleges shall have to become self-sufficient in terms of the strength of teaching and non-teaching staff also. Otherwise, this will be very difficult to, achieve the target. Appropriate and comprehensive training to personnel may also be required. Think of the supporting staff, the non-teaching ministerial staff of your institution. The moment we make them, these colleges autonomous, we have to give them, as is mentioned here, appropriate and comprehensive training, right, to accomplish the task. So on that also we have to focus, because in any case the policy is there before us and it has already started implementing. Going to the next point, formative rather than summative assessment. Now this is something which directly falls on us as faculty members. So far we have been practicing formative assessment often. Now they say we should shift to summative assessment. So the point is now there is a demand, there is and there will be a demand of monthly or fortnightly assessments. We might not have been doing it so far. Think of fortnightly assessments, and these assessments are going to be the final assessments, which will form the grade card of the candidate. We know that once we are involved in assessing students, it's quite burdensome. It takes toll on our time and energy. We have to be prepared for that. In that regard, full support of teaching and non-teaching staff is maybe the first requirement. Right. So far as the teaching staff support is needed, that goes without saying. How do we really assess these students so regularly in a summative manner if the teaching staff is not supporting? But at the same time, equally good support from non-teaching staff is also required, because not only when the frequency of the assessments increase, teachers are burdened, but the ministerial staff is also burdened. Ministerial staff also has to make great support into that. But one solution which we may prepare ourselves for is the extensive use of information and communication technology. You may also be aware that there are many universities in the country, right? The status of Mizoram University in this regard, I am not very much aware, updated in this regard. But that might also have improved over the years that I have seen Mizoram University. But there are other universities, particularly, which are coming to my mind at the moment when I'm talking about the use of ICT in assessment, where, with this advent, all these four things, like the system becomes economic, it is adding to the convenience of everybody, becomes reliable, it becomes quick also. So actually a time has come when such assessments with the help of ICT, as much as ICT involvement is possible, we should go for it. And the answer to the question that how can we make summative assessments policy successful in our country lies with ICT only. There these need of many iterative processes, delays can be curbed, inconveniences can be controlled and everything. So in this regard also we should be prepared in terms of our knowledge, in terms of our appreciation, and in terms of our administrative inputs. Next. A strong public education system along with private and community participation. This is what the policy says. Right. So it's very clear that the policy is not interested, not focusing on promoting only public education system, but at the same time, private and community participation also, and the vice versa. It doesn't talk only about the private and community participation, but it also wants equally strong public education system. So that way, a sort of a hybrid, contribution from public and private sector is the visualization of the policy. Now, an important thing about us to appreciate is that no profit making by private sector, fee also cannot be excessive, is the idea which has been expressed in the policy. So why, we should look at this point, because we all know that the governance of the private and the community participation system is also be made by the faculty members who are working in the public supported system. So we should be aware that the policy quite a lot discourages the profiteering by private organizations and charging fee which are exorbitant. Okay, that has not been permitted. That has not only that has not been encouraged, but that has been severely discouraged. Okay, so that should be clear to us. Whenever we are a party to, regulating the private system, we must know that support we are definitely needing, but in any case, no profiteering can be permitted. And a single agency should exercise firm and effective control on both. This is what the policy says. Right. So that means public system is also required to be under a firm and effective control, along with the private and community supported system. Right. So this should make us aware that if we are in either of the systems, that has to be governed sternly by any single agency at the higher levels. Now, friends, at this stage, I think about half of the time is over, and I'll request the coordinators to read the questions in case they are. Please read the questions one by one.
Sir, there are no questions in the Q&A box.
No questions are there. So you may kindly make an announcement,
sure,
requesting the participants to write down their questions there. Maybe there are some observations or some information that they would like to share for my knowledge, for discussion here. Because if we discuss, then the things are better disseminated. Okay, please proceed.
Dear participants, please make your questions and please put your questions in the Q&A box. So it's better to have a good interaction with the speaker, eminent professor. So please proceed with the question and answers. So I haven't seen any of the comments in the chat box or in the Q&A box as well. Sir, you may proceed, sir.
Yeah, no comments, sister. Okay. So, dear participants, I from my side also would request you. We are meeting on online mode, and that may be a reason why the interactions are not of that level. Maybe the same thing what I have told you so far, had it been a physical mode face to face, we might have definitely improved the interactions, but because that is not possible, in any case, the online system is helping us rather to sit at our convenient places all around and discuss relevant things. So I would again reiterate my request to please raise certain questions because you are to note down them in the chat box. As and when something comes to your mind regarding anything that I am sharing with you, please put it into the chat box there. Because I need not emphasize to all of you who are my own colleagues, faculty members, that if in any session of this type, even when it is with the students that we have, if we do not interact and the traffic remains one-sided, it may not solve the true purpose, and the dissemination of knowledge really doesn't take place to that extent. So that would be my humble request to you once again. And
So
I'm
one
close.
question came, sir.
Yeah, sure. Please.
How NEP 2020 promote regional languages implemented in all disciplines of higher education?
Good question, my dear friend. I'm going to that particular point in next 10-15 minutes. So please permit me. Okay. I'm coming to that point shortly hereafter. Good question. Yeah. Any other things, sir?
No, sir. That is only the
No, not so far. Thank you. Thank you for reading that. Now, friends, this slide which I'm now sharing with you is directly concerned with us. You know, it uses 4 adjectives with faculty members. It says motivated, energetic, capable, and accountable faculty members are required in the education system. Right. So perhaps this is the point which has maximum implication for the faculty members. You may look at these words more closely and find out what does it mean. Right. It doesn't say capable only. It also says motivated. It also says energetic. And apart from these 3 things, it also says accountable. You may very well appreciate that, I would say all of you who are listening to me, and for that matter, all our colleagues do justify these things more or less. Right? You see, as I often say, faculty members are those who are examined daily many times by their students, and that takes place all through their life in the academy. So you cannot stay in the profession without capabilities. You have to be on your toes all the time because student fraternity is demanding. So you have to be energetic. You have to motivate yourself in order to motivate your students. And of course, you have to be accountable also, not only for the reason that you are being watched by your head or dean or director or vice chancellor, but also because you are being watched by the teacher who is sitting within you. Right? What we say is our teacher conscience inside. So a very important relevant point from national education policy that they have outlined these 4 virtues in a teacher. Now, what we may suggest in this regard, as one of the ideas, that a standardized recruitment system at national level leading to more transparency and reliability in the recruitment system of faculty members may help us in achieving the target which has been mentioned above. Because at many times the system of recruitment is considered not very transparent, and sometimes reliability also comes under the question. Therefore, the point that why we should not have a standardized recruitment system at the national level, like that of the IAS or other senior administrative services at the national level. In case of IAS, as you know, that countrywide the candidates participate, and then depending on the merit and preferences, they are given certain cadres. Like a person who is hailing from Rajasthan may have Mizoram cadre, Tripura cadre, and they used to serve there. That happens all over the country. Why it may not happen in case of teaching fraternity also? You all know that cadre-wise, the UGC defined pay scale-wise, The faculty members in higher education are in no way less than any top administrative officer. So why should not the systems also help the faculty fraternity to achieve a better, transparent and reliable image? Another thing which I would definitely like to share with you in this regard is that there is a problem of inbreeding everywhere. Sometimes we consider it as the services of the son of the soil, right? But it is happening, of course, like in the department about which is being headed by Professor Jyoti Kumarji. Our own students, whom even I taught that time, some 16 years before, have become faculty members there itself. No harm, no harm. But if this can be avoided to some extent, and these capable students would have served in other parts of the country, and the people from other parts of the country have served Mizoram, and like that, the universities and higher education institutions had inputs from all over, the geographical dispersed area. Then the quality of faculty members, the delivery by faculty members would have been even better. Universities in any case are termed to be universities. They have to be universal. And the example which I was just before giving to you of the IAS officers, are they not moving from place to place? Right? Some person who is hailing from Tamil Nadu, serving in Bengal, Bengali serving in Uttar Pradesh person is serving in Mizoram person is serving in Delhi. Yeah. They also have a good reputation of their profession. Why not faculty members? Now, this is also very important. That if we look forward to having motivated and energetic faculty members, environment in which they work also has to ensure that it is conducive and motivating. There are many environmental factors, right, which, because you are yourself the faculty members, you may very well appreciate that just because of those environmental factors, either a teacher is highly motivated and performance quality improves like anything, or vice versa is also true. So particularly to you, I would like to mention by saying that all of you are now in senior cadres of academic profile. Kindly try to ensure this type of conducive environment to your faculty members. If you are a principal, if you are a head of department, or if you are not neither, but you are a senior faculty member in your college or institution, ensure that the environment remains motivating and conducive. Dear friends, you will agree that our environment in which we work, right, has got much to do with emotions. Much to do with emotions. We also deal with our students with lot of emotions in our mind. Right? It's not a mechanical job that we are doing and attaching ourselves with the teachers. Therefore, it's very essential that we keep the morale of the teachers high. Like one of my senior colleagues, some 10, 15 years before, mentioned this thing, which is coming to my mind now, and I feel like sharing that with you. He used to say that, teachers are, little extra sensitive persons. Therefore, whenever you deal with teachers as academic administrators, he used to say that you should be extra precautious. It should not hurt their feelings. Because you would agree with me what he used to say, I was in total agreement with that person. A pretty senior person he was, highly experienced. that teachers are to interact with their students. They have to take classes particularly, and otherwise also, personally interact with their students. Now, if the environment is not motivating, it is harassing, it is not conducive, it is torturing in a way, then do you think that the teacher will be capable of delivering goods of the right type in the classrooms? Definitely not. I may share my experience with you. As have been mentioned, I have been an old teacher, started serving in early 1980s. During my long tenure as a faculty member, I have seen that there used to be very good academic administrators with whom I used to, I have been fortunate to work with. The virtue of those administrators I would like to share with all of you here. What was the virtue? The virtue was that even when we were very junior or younger to them, they used to motivate us all the time, never raise any objection against our behavior, always praising us, giving us positive strokes, as they say in the language of psychology. And now at this time when I'm talking to you about this some 35 years old story, when I myself have been an academic administrator for a long time, I can tell you that was the best behavior of a senior academic administrator with teachers. Even when they wanted to make some objection against something or wanted to tell us some improvement in our behavior, they would take us aloof and very personally, very softly, they would just inform us that how we have to improve. So this environmental factor is also very important if we really want to achieve this cherished goal of having motivated, energetic, capable, and accountable faculty members, dear friends. Yeah, there is one more, very, very relevant point. Excessive administrative burden to avoid. You see, this is also out of my personal experience at many higher education institutions in the country, that sometimes for one or the other reason, the teachers are overloaded with administration, either because there is no ministerial staff support, or because certain teachers are more administrative liking than teaching liking, than research liking, or there may be some other reasons also than these two. But if it leads to excessive administrative load on them, you know that these four adjectives would never be justified. Friends, one thing in this regard I would like to add here by saying that in general, the compensation which faculty members are receiving and the compensation which the administrative officers in the academic institutions are receiving has a considerable difference. Many times it may be in the ratio of 2:1. Now, in that case, if you are assigning excessive administration to the teacher, then actually you are asking the teacher to work for, to take a higher pay for a lower job. I would very frankly say that. And in addition, teachers' substitution will not be available. If you have consumed half of the teacher's working time in administration, that is not going to be compensated by anybody else. In administration, you may have several alternatives. So this has to be also very seriously considered. Okay, going to the next point. Multidisciplinary educational and research universities this word Meru, MERU, was coined by the National Education Policy, and it says that the universities should be multidisciplinary research and educational universities. Right. So that again is a new phenomenon, policy-wise, which has been highlighted. And in each now, what implication it may have for us? That if the conglomerate universities are coming up, and multidisciplinary, research is there, teaching is there, all disciplines are available, big universities are there. Then first is that the feasibility of finding these institutions would again be challenging. Therefore, we as teachers may come up with alternatives, as is mentioned here, that create conglomerates of existing universities and colleges to improve mutual cooperation therein. Okay, by that time, such Meru could be established in a proper way, as have been the idea. Okay, the existing universities and colleges may have a conglomeration, and this way it may pave path for future multidisciplinary, big size universities. Next is National Mentoring System Mission. It is mission actually. Friends, let me give you some brief idea about the mentoring mission that the National Education Policy is visualizing. That actually applies to people like me who have superannuated from the routine system of services, but still position physically and mentally to contribute. The policy says that in this mission, the senior citizens who have been faculty members in higher educational institutions must play a role of a mentor, because all such senior faculty members are rich in experience, knowledge, right? Definitely. They still are in a position and willingness to contribute to the education system, right? So therefore, they talk about this mission. Now, this is a refresher course going on. Generally speaking, one may not expect that in the refresher course, there would be participants who are shortly going to be superannuated. Right? In general, you may be comparatively, if not younger, middle-aged teachers. This is what I visualize. But at least you should keep in mind that now the system is thinking about having a mentoring mission. Therefore, whatever is your target date of superannuating, which you may be knowing even now, don't think that you are to complete your academic journey on that day. Your academic journey would still be continued till the time your physical and mental health permits, or your willingness is there. Right? Why it is important to visualize this? Because this indicates that you should have a longer term planning than what your superannuation is indicating. Now, a few points in this regard regarding term appointments. Yeah, there is a misprint here. This U should be I. This is term appointments. So, as you may be aware, regarding the higher education systems, the appointment systems, engagement system of teachers in Western countries in particular. So they have a term of 3, 4, 5 years. You complete your term and thereafter it may be renewed, it may not be renewed, depending on the situation. So there is no permanent appointment like what we used to have often in our systems here. In many foreign universities, the term appointments depend on a thorough scrutiny and feedback by teachers, by students of the concerned person. Thorough, as I said. Likewise, we may have in mind under this national mentoring mission that let there be term appointments also for those who are mentors, who are senior citizens, who are faculty members with rich experience, but now superannuated. And as I said, till physical mental fitness permits, such appointments may be given. That would be a great contribution to the country in the education system, in benefiting the youngsters to a large extent. And you know that as a whole, if we look at the entire country, the dearth of good teachers is constantly maintained. Recruitments are not complete. Many places we see that colleges are 30 to 40% deficient in their faculty strength. Same is true with universities. Regarding some of the new upcoming colleges which have come to my notice in the country, various parts of the country, single man college are being run. To solve this problem also, the national mentoring mission is very important. Okay, so these are few ideas about the national mentoring mission. Let me go further. Foreign collaborations. Friends, the policy talked loud about collaborating with foreign academic institutions. And this is again one of the more prominent issues or challenges, also I would say opportunities before the faculty members. You see this recent development, UGC regulations for twinning dual and joint degree programs are a relevant set of regulations for us to realize. You might have come across these regulations. This is a recent development, right, where UGC has come up with the idea of twinning dual and joint degree programs, to define more clearly what exactly would be the mode of foreign collaborations among academic institutions. So you may go through these details, they're available on websites. But for the moment, for the sake of discussion, let me just give you a brief idea about the twinning dual and joint degree programs, which UGC has come up with as regulations and given a concrete shape to foreign collaborations in higher education in India. So among the twinning programs, they say that one candidate who is doing a course from India may have a twinning program by doing some exchange with any other foreign university or higher education institution for the same program they will. Okay, in that case, degree will be given only by the Indian university or the institution, but the person has already an exposure from some other institution also to a certain extent. Like in a program, somebody is doing one exchange program with any foreign university somewhere. While in case of the dual degree programs, they say that now a student may do the similar type and level course with any foreign university parallel to one which he or she is doing in India. Now, once that program is complete, the candidate will get 2 degrees from the foreign institution and from the National Institution of India also. That way, the person would be more employable internationally. But in case of joint degree programs, this has also been regularized now, that one of the Indian institution and a foreign institution may join hands and collaborate in a manner to frame a joint degree program for both of them. There again, both the institutions shall provide a degree to the concerned person. And in that, I think 30% credit for the foreign institution minimum are to be obtained by the concerned person. Minimum 30% credits by the foreign institution. And that way the joint program can work. So, I mean, this opens a lot of, as I said, opportunities and challenges for us. Right. That means it's a great entry of the foreign institution and a great entry of Indian institution in the foreign countries, both ways. That should definitely wake us up like anything. Things that the protected or the controlled, the closed boundaries of the country in higher education are no more existing. With all these things available, hardly any boundary now. So the idea for us as faculty member is that now a rigor of curriculum and examination should match with the international standards. Otherwise, you see how all these things would be possible. In case of joint degree, for example, no institution will be convinced to have a joint arrangement of degree with the Indians, unless they are satisfied that the both curriculum and examination wise we match the international standards. So also for the dual and twinning degrees. Friends, you would appreciate that this really makes our position demanding and asks us to be on toes to match higher quality standards internationally. In a way, you may say that the market, of course, not commercial market, academic market, for our delivery was confined to the nation so far. Sometimes even not to the nation. When in our university or college, we were serving mostly, our locality, our zone in the state, or at the most our state. Now that has changed. Our market has expanded like anything. Competition among the institutions is definitely bound to increase. But one glittering thing, which is a recent development, is that in the QS ranking, international rankings, they say 41 institutions of India are now figuring. Overall, we have improved in our international rankings. Of course, some institution like University of Delhi, they say that they could record less, declined position in their ranks as compared to the last time. But overall, Indian institutions have risen in high among the international rankings. So that tells us that our recognition, for foreign collaborations is improving. That's a good sign. But that should make us aware. That should make us, needful to rise to the occasion. Because now one may say that the international waves have entered our system in the country. We have to be prepared for that. Now, continuing word is for call for a study in India. This is also, there in the national education policy. So once we say that the Indian institutions are to relate themselves with foreign institutions, join hands with them in collaborating. We also say that let the foreign students get attracted to study in India. Let the foreign institutions approach us to have collaboration. Okay, they're taking initiative and approaching. Of course, it is the a joint venture. Both have to shake hands, whether it is Indian or a foreign institution. But the question is that we call for outsiders, foreigners to study in our country. Now, in that regard, one aspect is this for us to focus. Right, African, Middle East, and Far East mostly, and that's happening also in many parts of the country. African students, particularly from Kenya, Namibia, Tanzania, and some other countries, are studying. They find Indian studies more attractive. But now this call is more pronounced. And that will definitely need the faculty-student exchange practices to encourage, which we have already discussed from the other angle, that in case there are the twinning programs, as they titled it, they are the exchange programs on. So they need be further improved. Why? Because this will make the Indian brand sold outside, I would say. The Indian brand making its mark outside, whereby we may say that our call for studying in India is successful. So both these 2 points are extremely important. You may say in nutshell that we, according to the national education policy, are now moving towards internationalization of our education, which used to be confined to our country so far. And we have not really been so attractive for remaining parts of the world, as an educating country, not to that extent. As sometimes they say that at one time when it used to be Nalanda and Takshashila universities, old India, when students from all over the globe used to come to India for study. Right? Perhaps you may say that with effort of all of us, teachers, India would gain that same reputation and position in education in the times to come. And think global and act local is also very important. Okay, so our vision is definitely global, but we also consider the local requirements in terms of the education systems also, even when we call for study to outsiders for India. One more issue is regarding vocational and employment-oriented education. NEP talks much about this type of education, dear friends, and rightly so. Because the country has to ensure employment opportunities, good employment opportunities for the youngsters. We all know the good development in the country, that the record number of unicorn coming up in India, the another fleet of startups, when they say make in India, have been very successful. But for that, in academies, we have to equip our students by providing them right type of vocational education. So such contents to identify in practical exposure to ensure in academy is important. The point is that whatever type of education we are imparting, like in this program, the participants are from commerce, economics, and management faculty. So friends, in these subjects, we may definitely identify good number of contents which are of vocational and employment oriented nature, and we may ensure practical exposure to our students regarding those contents. So that is one major need. Then full vocational programs be encouraged. Let me straight away come to some examples. In his preliminary remarks, Professor Jyoti Kumar was mentioning, which was really very heartening for me to know, that they have, one Bachelor of Vocation program being run in the Faculty of Commerce in Mizoram University right now. That actually is the need of the hour. A full vocational program, a full BVoc degree, Bachelor of Vocation degree. Collaboration with professional institutions for faculty for teaching and faculty development purpose. Because, the faculty may not be so well exposed to the vocational aspects of education, practical aspects of education. Therefore, we should also think of collaborating with professional institutions for these purposes, that they teach and also they develop the faculty for the purpose, internal faculty for the purpose. Let me share one of the experiments that we have made here at Udaipur in my universities, that we also some 7 years before launched a program which is a full vocational program in the university. And that was as per UGC guideline, like you have started in Mizoram, the vocational program. On the similar lines, we also started. Let me briefly discuss the details of that program to give you an idea what can be done in this regard to develop and promote vocational and employment-oriented education. We started a Bachelor of Vocation program again, and the extension was accounting, taxation, and auditing. So we used to call it BVoc ATA, accounting, taxation, and auditing. Now that used to be, as usual, 3 years undergraduate program. Okay. Now let me tell you the structure of that program. That would be really, you will find it really very interesting to know about. That as the title goes, accounting, taxation, and auditing. There were 6 semesters. Each semester used to have 5 papers. That way there were in all 30 papers, 30 courses. All 30 courses were talking about either accounting or taxation or auditing. What? Nothing else other than that. Yeah, please ask them to switch on the audio. Hello?
Madam, please mute. Yes, she muted.
Yeah, fine. So what I was telling you is that in that 3-year degree program, entire vocational considerations have been made. Out of the total 6 semesters, 5 papers each, 30 papers in all, 18 papers, as many as 18 papers that come to be about 60% of the entire curriculum, were all practicals. They were conducted, the entire teaching was conducted into computer labs, and entire cent% examination was also taken care of in the computer labs of 18 papers out of 30. So that much practical training to the students, in accounting, taxation, and auditing. And only the remaining 12 papers used to be, having theory lectures and theory examinations. And of course, we had to take a lot of help from the chartered accountants, company secretaries, the practicing managers in the accounting world, the taxation law practitioners and all. Sometimes they used to engage the classes. Sometimes our faculty members used to interact with them to equip themselves with the latest things in the vocation. So there is a lot of scope, dear friends, regarding the vocational programs in the country. Later on, our experiment was very successful here. And later on, we have started the Master of Vocation in Accounting, Taxation, Auditing also here. From this year, we have started MVOC course also. That again is as per the guidelines of the UGC. Right. So this, objective of the national education policy has to be achieved in this way. Yeah, there is some animation problem. Let me open both the bullets and come up to them one by one. Under CSR activity, certain percentage of positions as internship should be kept. Now, this is continuing with the heading on the last slide. That how to make the vocational and employment oriented education successful in India as per national education policy. So one idea can be, which I have propagated to many universities in this country. At many places, it has got implemented also. Friends, as you know that, because of the company's law amendments, now you have to spend a certain percentage of your profit on CSR activity. It's compulsory. Okay, so you have to shell out 2% of profit, for example, on CSR activities. The idea here can be that why not some percentage of the positions in industry, offices, practicing places be compulsorily allotted to internships? How are we going to make our commerce, economics, management, education, employment oriented? If we do not get support from the practicing side. So let them essentially accept some internships from our institutions, expose them to practice, and make the education employment oriented. Likewise, upliftment of subject content, examination rigor, etc. of vocational courses is also required. I mean, you may agree that, if we really do not provide the rigorous vocational input, right, then our students are not going to be accepted in the employment market. So from that viewpoint, this point has to be taken care of. Separate research and teaching universities in the country. This has also been suggested. Dear friends, and a time has come when either you have to focus on research or you have to focus on teaching. Earlier, an amalgam of the two was creating certain problems. And therefore, recruitment and promotion rules to be designed suitably, right? Our contribution to this goal can be that the promotion and recruitment rules should be designed, in a suitable manner. Because research universities may need a little different profile of a teacher than the teaching university, and vice versa also. Yeah, now we come to the question which was raised by one of the learned participants: teaching and research in indigenous languages. Friends, this has been a very important, mention in the national education policy, which has tremendous implication for us as teachers. Now they say that regional languages should not definitely be discouraged for both teaching and research. Rightly so. Because in our country, we used to find that, English language has a little higher respect in the academy than the regional languages, which the child may be more thorough in. But how about, my dear friends, when you think of education in certain prominent countries in the world, to quote a few examples: Japan, China, Korea, Russia, Germany, France, etc. These all are based on their own education. All the Indian children who went to Ukraine and then returned hurriedly because of the war had to learn Russian language first and then the medical education. Japanese are doing great researches in Japanese language only. They have been conferred Nobel Awards recently. Why not India? But certain things in this regard, which I would like to highlight, is one of them, most important, is that in the indigenous languages, good quality journals are either not at all available or are rarely available. How are we then going to promote our research scholars to publish when they research in indigenous languages? Sorry. Okay, so this is very important, and I think the question which was raised was answered. Sir, can you read the question once again? What exactly was asked in that regard of indigenous
Yes,
languages?
sir, the same thing, sir.
Same thing.
Why not the Indian higher education system is not allowing to do in the regional languages?
Okay. So, dear friend who has asked this question, I would like to add here by saying that now the central government has clarified one should feel free and elated once one reads and writes and does research in indigenous languages. So that has been promoted. And one more thing here I would like to put for your information, that recently UGC has announced model curriculum for BCom and BCom honors, particularly in commerce. I'm aware for art subjects also they have. For economics also they have announced and courses like that. But in that BCom syllabus, not BCom honors, they have put especially a paper of regional languages for the students to study. So there is a clear recommendation there. So with that, thank you very much for giving me a patient listening. And this is my mail ID. In case you need to interact with me, I would be very happy. And the coordinators, if there are some questions, you kindly go ahead with that.
Sir, there is a thing, sir. As you said, so many other duties are assigned to the teachers, especially. So, is it a correct way assigning the duties, other duties to the teachers, except the teaching? So, especially in Assam, Dr. Sanjay Sinha quoted it. So, especially in Assam, there are so many election duties and NRC duties.
Yeah, Mr. Sanjay, in fact, I would say you asked a very relevant question. Because please appreciate that, like you, I have also been for a long time doing all these duties in my life. Right? Now, let me reply to the question which you have raised. Actually, I myself have said that what I said was, I would repeat. Teachers should not be overloaded, I said, with administrative duties. That doesn't mean that they should not at all be loaded with administrative duties. But yes, I am in total agreement with you. And saying this on this public platform, I am not at all hesitant by telling that the limit to the administrative assignments must be there. Like you see, in many states in the country, it has happened. That the same year when the Lok Sabha elections were pending, the assembly elections, Vidhan Sabha election were also pending. And not only that, the teachers were engaged in election duties for both of these, but the college institutions were engaged entirely for conducting elections for a duration of a month-long time. Now, what would have been the fate of education? Totally secondary it must have been. Teachers had to work very hard, there are very pressing duties, election duties in particular, which they have to undergo. That's one. In addition, there are many, many more duties. I was more concerned by mentioning here the administrative duties was regarding the administrative duties in the institution itself. Like sometimes a teacher, a professor, has been made controller of examination of the university. Sometimes you are in charge of examination of your college. Sometimes you are dean students welfare. Sometimes you have to take care of like those who are in accountancy and taxation teachers. They are looking after the form 16 filling and supervising the clerical staff in doing this and all. See, there is, I would also like to mention that in our UGC defined duties, right, there are 4 quadrants. They relate with teaching, preparation for teaching, doing research and supervising research. And the 4th one is helping in administration. So please don't think that a teacher like us in higher education, which is, getting UGC pay scale compensation, is not really supposed to help at all in administration. No, we are supposed to help in administration. Rather, I would say we are the right person to help in academic administration. But the only point is that it should not be excessive. So roughly speaking, if it is, about 20 to 25% of our total workload, may be accepted. Beyond that, but see, when you mention about election duties, yeah, as per our pay scale, sometimes we are made area managers, zonal magistrates. Younger ones are made presiding officers in elections. That's also a sacred duty that we play for the country. Yeah, but the only submission is that let it be within limit. Thank you for your question, Sanjay ji.
One more question, sir. NEP claimed to provide education to marginalized, but also paves the way for privatization of higher education. Don't you feel there is a clear duality in thought and shall end up serving the so-called privileged class?
Okay.
I'm going to add this one more thing, sir. That feedback system about the teachers. So in the private institution especially. So private institutions are forcing the teaching faculty in more administrative, excessive administrative work, as you said. So at the same time, when the feedback is not coming from the students proper way, so in case teacher go harsh in the way of teaching, or if students are not learning properly, so teacher is a bit harsh on the students. So immediately the student is taking the advantage and giving wrong feedback to the private organizations, so that that faculty is pressurized between the administration and the student.
And the students, yeah.
Yes. So is
Very
it
rightly
a
asked.
proper way? Now
Yeah,
the
very
NEP
relevant,
is
very
paving the privatization.
Sure.
So how come?
See, the point regarding the duality, in thinking for a public as well as private system of education.
Sir, and one more thing, sir.
Yeah.
Small. Previously, it is a very glorious activity for the private people to establishing the educational institutions and providing education to so many people. So now it become profit oriented.
Sure.
So that's what. How come if they paves way to the privatization?
Correct. See, regarding this issue, public versus private, I was just going to answer that only. First thing is that where is the country heading towards in terms of the national education policy? All of us are aware that it is a very well thought policy under the chairmanship of Kasturi Ranganji, a very capable academician, and a lot of discussion and democratic processes have been adopted to reach to this conclusion. Now, after the policy has come, the crisp question is where the country is heading towards regarding public versus private education. So a very clear answer in policy is that it is a dual system, both public and private. So it has to be publicly funded, it has to be privately funded. This is very clear in the policy. Why it might have been, reasons are clear to us. You see, the country is very large, very big population to serve, and government may not have enough resources to serve them. Plus, there may be some advantages of private sector also. Point which has been highlighted in the national education policy, which I also mentioned during my delivery to you, is they say private and community participation in education. Further, it has been very clearly, loudly mentioned in the policy that has to be no profiteering in private sector. Very clearly mentioned. No excess fees has to be charged. It has been also mentioned that whatever profits will be generated by private institution should be reinvested into the college for its development. So the policy at least is very clear that profiteering will not be permitted. And if the community wants to participate into higher education, yes, that would be welcome. If private players want, feel elated in contributing to the society by contributing money and funds, yes, they are welcome. But of course, no exploitation of students, no exploitation of teachers also. So policy-wise, things are very clear. Further, the second point that you mentioned was regarding, this is a typical example which you quoted, whereby saying that in a private institution, teachers are dragged into administration. Because of that, they may not be in a position to justify their teaching to the required extent. Their students are given the liberty to make a frank feedback about their teachers. And based on that feedback, the students' feedback, the teachers are being rewarded or punished. Now, how to check this dilemma? That from both the sides, the faculty member is being, in a way, I would say, squeezed. Right? It is being, crushed from both the sides. To dual pressure on the teacher. I do agree with you. I also know many such institutions where the teachers who are serving in a private environment, because of this, do not find it to be a conducive one. And when I was talking about those features of the teachers, when I say motivated and energetic and contributing and accountable, capable, all that, you expect them. It is a must to provide them a motivating and conducive environment to work. Teachers can't be really taken, at iron ends to deal by the administration. So maybe that taking feedback from teachers, from students or the teachers is not wrong. But at the same time, which I also mentioned in my delivery, that dealing with the teachers should be dealing with an extra sensitive person. Because I also mentioned it earlier, and you would all agree that, the psyche of a teacher in an educational institution is extremely important for the quality of delivery the person does. And somehow if a teacher feels torturous and everybody is crushing him up, everybody is demoralizing him, teacher will not be able to deliver. Of course, job-wise compulsions apart. So yes, that should not happen. The example which you have coined, the educational administrators, both in private and public institution, must take care of this, that it is not done. Yeah. Is there any other?
One more thing, sir. In the national education policy, that preschool education, they started the age limit with the 6 years. So
no, it is 3 years. It is 3 years now.
Okay.
It is actually what exactly? It is 3 plus 5 plus 5 plus 3, isn't it? So pre-education they have started, which was not earlier, and they now say that there has to be preschooling and then schooling. And then they conclude 3 plus 5 plus 5 plus 3. I think it is like that. So preschooling they have started actually. Yeah. Now you ask your question.
Okay, and then sir, it's been answered.
No, it is not 6 years, my dear. It is not 6 years to my mind. It used to be 6 years. When I used to study in my first standard, some 55 years around before.
Yes, 5 years, sir.
I remember that time it used to be 6 years entry into the first standard. But now
no, sir,
government is going for a policy where they say that let there be a pre-primary, full-fledged pre-primary education in the country.
By the time of completion of their graduation, they will the pupil will become 20 years of age, and where the recruitment ends at the age of 28 years. So only 8 years they have gap, and by excluding higher education, by completion of graduation, means graduation they made it 4 years graduation. The proposal is there, I think.
Yeah, see, I do not subscribe to that view, my dear. Reason being, they have not increased the the duration of the curriculum. In fact, the 3 years pre-primary education would end at the same time when it used to be the first standard for a student. So they now want education to start at the age of 3. So 3, 4, 5 plus 5, 10 plus 5, 15 plus 3 plus 4, 19. Yeah. So first thing is that with the new system, the duration of the study is not going to increase, except that now instead of 3 years graduation, they are proposing 4 years graduation. Yes, there I agree. Okay,
Yes,
but let me clarify. When they say that it will be 4-year graduation, they also are calling it 4-year graduation research degree. So it is a BCom research degree now when it's 4 years. First, which earlier was not. Second, now the student is having an option to do away with his degree just at the end of the 3rd year. So once somebody is finishing 3rd year, one may take a degree and go. But if somebody is interested in a research degree, one may continue for 1 more year and take a 4-year degree. Further to that, with the 4-year degree, there are advantages which were not there earlier. Now, with the 4-year degree, the students will now be permitted directly to enter into PhD program. So in a way, now the students will enter into PhD program 1 year before than what they were doing it earlier. Plus, if somebody is interested in post-graduation, they are also proposing 1 year post-graduation with a BCom research degree. So there is no loss at all to these students. And further, the advantage of the 4-year degree is that now it is in line with the international standards. Right? Worldwide, this is what is the practice. So that way, there is no loss to the younger generation.
That's all, sir. And actually, another question, sir, from my side. So there is
Sure.
in the course curriculum that item mentioned that internship. So what I felt when I was a scholar, so many students are complaining about the internship. In the middle of the internship, the organizations, they are pressurizing the students to do the washing the mopping the floor and washing the utensils.
Oh
and
my
everything.
God.
So those things they force them, and they're coming back to us, sir. In the middle of the course, we cannot withdraw the internship, and we cannot go somewhere else and complete that whatever the 45 days duration. So what we have to do? Do we have to compromise by doing such things, or do we have to? We are unable to do it. They raised the questions like that in front of me. At the time, I was a scholar, sir. So I just carried those things to my supervisor. He said simply, okay, let them do, or let them leave that organization for a while. We'll consider him. But what about the certificate? They have to get the certificate from the organization that they did that internship. So those things are going on, sir. They're taking that internship as the advantage that organizations, small organizations, whatever they find nearby.
Yeah. Very pertinent question you have raised. And in fact, just 3 days before, I was in a board of studies meeting of one university, where on the same issue, I just wanted the university to draft, something and put it into the curriculum. That thing I would like to share with you. Very pertinent thing you have raised. In fact, regarding internship, what we should do is, and what I would propose, you are in the department only, isn't it? You're in the department of Mizoram University, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So you may think in this regard further that for internship, we should make a provision in our curriculum that the internships will be assigned through the head of the department, so that he may see that whether institution is deserving to provide internship. That's one. Second, the internship certificate shall be jointly signed by the organization and the head of department also. There has to be our contribution, our control on the internship provided, my dear. Because what's happening, what you said are little more horrible examples. But mostly what we have seen is, in one case, I will tell you, that also is a practical case when the students came to me and we had to intervene into the whole thing. 5 undergraduate students were there and they went for an internship during the undergraduate 4th to 5th semester sandwich time. Now they went to a very reputed institution. They took our letter from the university. Everything went on well. When they reached there, the person concerned who was in charge, almost misbehaved with them, harassed them in a way. And they say, you have come over my head and your teachers can't control you. Therefore, they are sending us to us and something like of that sort. Now this fellow asked them that, okay, this is a glass door and there is a room inside, of course, fitted with the AC and fans and some newspapers are like there. He said that 10 o'clock, I want you here and till 5 o'clock, you will not come out of this room. Every day I will take your attendance and you need not do anything. You sit inside for 7 hours and go back to your home life. Now, after 3-4 days, the children were really, disheartened and they approached us. So this is happening. Therefore, I would recommend that for internship, let it be a joint supervision by the head of department and the student, and head may assign the supervision to some faculty members, like 4 faculty members assigned to one faculty, 4 students assigned to one faculty member. And that faculty member would be a mentor of those interns, every time asking them whether they are feeling satisfied or not, whether they are getting right type of job or not. Because otherwise, the whole effort of 45 days training is going in vain. And second thing, why should we not claim this? Why should we not claim this intervention from our university side in the internship process? Right? This is totally genuine because we, in any case, in the university are preparing future employees of the organizations. So they must cooperate with us. We are doing their job only. But undoubtedly, intervention of the head of department is a